Welcome to the Black Women Will Say Black Women podcast, the podcast where we support, amplify, validate, and elevate Black women always. I'm your host, Kamika Dillard, and this is our sanctuary. So, we are going to hop straight into this week's Fail Forward Files. I am obsessed with Mount Everest. Okay. I've always been obsessed with Mount Everest. I think since I was maybe a child. At one point in time, I wanted to climb Mount Everest. Um, it's just been something that I have been overly obsessed with. So when I was in business school, we actually had to do this simulation that required us to get everyone to the top of Mount Everest that was in our team. So it was a team about five or six, I can't remember the exact number. And it wasn't just that we had to get to the top of Mount Everest, you also had to ascend or descend from Mount Everest, and everyone had to survive. It's very important. It wasn't about just getting up there, getting down. No, no, no. The thing with the Mount Everest simulation is that while you're working as a team, you're also working as an individual. So if you're not familiar with Mount Everest, it's the highest mountain in the entire world. And it's one of the hardest mountains to ascend. You have to account for everything: weather, the number of climbers that are actually on the summit that day, your health, your supplies, any unpredictable challenges that might come with the altitude. You can get altitude sickness. It's just a lot that comes with trying to ascend this mountain. And what happens now is that you have a lot of inexperienced people who are trying to climb it. Back in the day, you didn't have that. You had to be an experienced climber. You had to be able to navigate the challenges that come with mountaineering, et cetera, et cetera. Now, today, you just pay a large sum of money. You have Sherpas that help you get to the top. You have like oxygen aided. It's all types of different things. The reason why I'm bringing this up for this week's Fail Forward Files is I can't climb my Mount Everest alone. My default is that when someone doesn't show up for me, I become super impatient. I just go at it by myself. And this particular week, that instinct just left me super frustrated. I spent so much time waiting on others, not being able to check off my to-do list, even feeling like my mom was the op today. She just sometimes acts more like my child than my parent, and my mom is 85 years old, so I always like to kind of give a frame of reference. I am exhausted, and if I'm super honest with everyone here, that exhaustion was partly just my fault. I didn't communicate my needs clearly. I didn't set my priorities or explain the barriers that were standing in my way. And here's the lesson around Mount Everest that, you have to kind of learn through the simulation. You cannot climb in silence expecting people to read your mind. So keep in mind with that simulation, you work with a team because you can't do it alone. On the mountain, success hinges on communication, decision making, and conflict resolution. You have to share information to overcome barriers. You have to create psychological safety so teammates feel free to speak up. You have to develop clear processes and prioritize team objectives over individual ones so that everyone can win. Because if one person fails, the whole team needs to be rescued. And that's really what life is about. That's leadership, that's community. Climbing Everest isn't about grit, it is about interdependence. I'm going to say it one more time. Climbing Everest is not about grit. It is about interdependence. The oxygen tanks really represents your ability to have faith and resilience. The ropes represents trust, sisterhood. Supplies can actually represent joy, laughter, resources that we share. And the summit itself, well, that's liberation, visibility, collective victory. So when I think about Everest, the goals that I'm chasing, the responsibilities that I carry, I know that I can't do it in a bubble. Life isn't meant to be climbed alone. It's meant to be done in community with everyone who can actually help you carry the load, breathe life into you when the air gets too thin, and celebrate the summit when you reach the top together. So I know it seems kind of weird, a little bit of a shift from how I normally share our fail forward files, but I've been down a little bit of a rabbit hole with Mount Everest. I've been watching about 7, 8 different documentaries on it. This is a stark contrast from my normal documentaries of murder, murder, murder. So I kind of looked at it like God is trying to tell me something when it comes to climbing Mount Everest. So I hope that you take my fail forward from the week and apply it to your own life. So that's all I have to share for this week's fail forward file. So for this week's guest, I'm super excited to have Pamela Nanton. Born and raised in Dallas, discovered her love for sewing and fashion from her mother in 1975. With over 30 years in the apparel industry, fashion has always been her world. A 20-year breast cancer survivor, Pamela lives by the mantra, don't sweat the small stuff. Her journey has taken her from Texas to Atlanta, Charlotte, Tucson, Philly, New York, and California, each place shaping her story of healing, love, and resilience. She and her husband, who have been married for 12 years, have built both a life and a partnership working side by side for many of those years. Welcome to the sanctuary, Pamela. Pamela,
Hi.
wait, Pamela. Welcome to the sanctuary, Pamela Nanton.
Hi, how are you?
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. I love the Mount Everest story, by the way.
Oh, thank you. I'm
It was
like,
as if you were talking about corporate.
it really is about
Yeah,
corporate. And I really wish more people would recognize that, especially Black people, like we need each other in these spaces. We
yeah.
cannot ascend to the top. We don't see enough of each other at the top. So we
Mhm.
got to definitely help push each other to the top so that people can reach back and pull back up. But, I think
Absolutely.
that is it's a symptom of something larger. Everything goes back to white supremacy. I say this often. So,
Mhm.
yes,
Yeah.
but we are
That's
excited
a
to,
that's a whole nother podcast show. You
yeah,
really,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, for sure.
We're not there yet, people, but we will get
Ah!
there in terms of, white supremacy and stuff. The focus is on Black women, though. So, Pamela, you're
Yes.
here. I want you to definitely share your story of what brings you here. We know that at this point, there are over 600,000 Black women that have been laid off since the beginning of 2025. And now that we are in 2026, that number is probably going to climb. I'm hoping that we see some decline, but the way that this administration is actually moving
Yeah.
towards, I don't see that number, declining anytime soon. So tell us about your story of layoff and job loss.
Well, I love the title. And I remember when I saw it, I believe on LinkedIn, it was like, wow, this is really interesting. Black women will, not can, not want to, not could, not should, but will. And that just kind of makes your mind think in a different way. Like, I'm a Black woman, I will. So my journey was knowing that there was going to be a layoff last year, last fall, maybe August, September, something like that. And we were all told different times, like, okay, because of our department. So, as a fashion designer in my life, but in my career, more of a technical designer. So, with technical design, we are touching the garments, we are fitting the garments, we are receiving, sending them out, we're working with the factories so that it can be ready for production to sell to you. So my department came probably, we were like the second or third set of months given to different groups. So my last day was May 1st of this year. And like I said, I found out last fall. So it's a strange feeling to know that it's ending, but it's not going to be in 2 weeks. Or it's not at the end of the day. You don't have to go look for your box to put your stuff in right now. But because I've done it for so long and because I pride myself in being, one of God's children, I'm going to still show up and do my best every day. I had a team of people that I did have to let go. I probably got 2 weeks notice to give them 2 weeks notice. And it was so hard. I was emotional. Neither well, one of them was a person of color, but just the dependence you have on people helping you climb up. Going back to Mount, I could just talk about Mount Everest, your story so much, but it was just so interesting in knowing that this was a business move. It had nothing to do with my direct boss. But as time went on and you saw little support from others and not others, and when you saw just kind of the dynamics of, oh, yeah, she's already found something, or, oh, they're looking for something for her because this was a huge corporation with many other brands. But I know there are no mistakes and I know God's got me. So when May was getting close and we had relocated from California to New York, my husband came in February and I finished up everything with our house and cars, etc. And I came to New York in April. So when I got here, I was going to the New York office, yada yada yada, and I was like, "Oh, I have stuff to finish. I have stuff to do because I still had work to do." So I'm still showing up, still doing my thing, and literally I needed to ship two custom pieces because that was part of my role with the company. Two custom pieces the day that was my last day, which was May 1st.
I think that your situation is just so unique from the perspective of you were notified many months in advance that these layoffs were coming, and you still decided to show up as the top, as a high performing, employee because Black
Mhm,
women don't half ass anything. And
mhm,
I just don't think I could have done it. So tell
mm.
me, what was your motivation to keep showing up at the top capacity, knowing it didn't matter in the long run because they were going to let you go?
Well, my title was director. I received the promotion in 2022. And I've been in the industry 30 plus years. I mean, it's all I've done. And I've tried to get out of fashion many, many times and just always got tugged back into it because I really care about how people look in their clothes. Oh, Lord help us all. And so I think the motivation, the determination was just me realizing and remembering exactly what you said. This is such a unique place to be in. I am so blessed to find out that long ago, to see other people getting help, but not me. No one else, no one was saying, "Oh, well, maybe we can find you something with the other brands. Maybe we can, let me know." There were like one or two people that I reached out to and was like, "Hey, let me email you my resume because my last day is next month. If you have any contacts, blah 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 blah." People that I knew had people that could give me a role or at least a hi. Give me an email address. So I think just having to I just had to find some positivity and know it's going to work out. And my husband is a super supportive person and has helped me so much along the way. And I have I'm blessed to have my mom and my dad and my sister. They were constantly praying for me and keeping me uplifted. And that's just kind of how it worked out. And then to think, not only was I losing my job, but we're moving across the world. Like we literally came from the other coast. You know what I mean? So it's like, what are we doing? So there was some doubt, lots of fear, but I had to continue to think that it was going to work out.
And your husband actually worked for the same company, correct?
Correct. Yes. And still does.
And still does. So you're
Yes.
navigating this environment where you still have a husband that is employed by that same company. You are losing your employment, but you're trying to make sure that he can have the continuity, have the success for him to be still successful. Do you
Yeah.
think that any of your behavior was dictated by the fact that he was still working for the company?
Yeah, I mean,
Did they know? Because sometimes people don't share that, your husband or my spouse works for this company.
oh yeah, everybody knew. It's a
Okay.
big company and we were working on the same team, but again, by the grace of God, he had already leaned into another department. So that department is what relocated him here. But I think if we had stayed in California, it would have been harder for me.
Share more.
Be- because so many people, and someone said it on TV today, I think it was on The View, that California is the most expensive place to live. That's a lie. California has more crime than New York. That's a lie. That's not true. The rent here is 25 to 30% higher for what I have than in San Francisco. The salaries are 25 to 30% lower, same title, same job description than San Francisco. But the fear would have come if my husband didn't have his job with the same company in if we had stayed there because there's just not a lot of places I could have found a job.
Mm,
Now, the first go to whenever I've lost a job throughout these decades is let my people know I'm sewing. Let them know who needs a wedding dress, who needs prom dresses. Let the building that I'm living in know that I'm doing alterations, yada, yada, yada. Me and my husband sit down, look at the budget. This is the X number, but this is the Y number that we would love to have. And that's just kind of how I had to look at it. I had to think about consistently. Thank goodness he's still with this company. Now, when we did get to New York, what's strange though is events, clients coming in town, different groups of people being in New York, and me attending with him. And they're like, "Wait, what? You're not at the company anymore? I knew y'all moved to New York." So that was probably the hardest part is seeing people after I was no longer with the company that I used to work with that I would see because he's still at the company.
So, were people aware of like the circumstances of your layoff internally, or were they just not expecting you not to find something?
I feel like a lot of people felt like, oh yeah, she'll find something. Oh yeah, it's Pamela, she'll find something. They knew, but it was a small percentage because this was a new label and a new brand that the company had started. This wasn't something that had been with the company all these years. It was started in 2022. I was probably the fifth to the last person being hired.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so it got totally, and I guess I can say that that made me feel better that the entire brand that I was working on is no longer.
So you didn't take it
So
personal.
tip of my tongue, couldn't take it personal. But when it did get kind of like sticky icky, was like, well, so but she don't even really do that much. Why how she already secured with another position with one of the other brands. So that definitely happened. That definitely happened. But, have my moments of being salty, angry, emotions, crying at my desk, like, why me? Why not me? Getting the help, getting the, phone call or the person coming over to me that I didn't have to email again 2 or 3 times. Hey, just want to let you know I sent my email, just you didn't reply type of thing. So
So, how did you spend your first 30 days after your last day of work? So, I think that's a question I ask everyone. What's the first 30 days you did after layoff? I feel like you probably had a different reaction than some folks who didn't see this coming.
being from Dallas, Texas, I love Mexican food and I love margaritas and I love really good tequila. I said over and over again, I was going to find the best Mexican restaurant in New York and go to happy hour because Cinco de Mayo was coming up. And that's what I did. And I remember texting my husband saying, I'm buzzed. This is where I'm at. Good thing we don't have a car because I know how to get home. So after Cinco de Mayo, it was like, well, the alarm went off. What do I do? And I had already started job searching for New York. But that's the other thing with with New York. New York is one of those companies, especially with fashion. They're known to not relocate
Mm,
unless it's a very high position. So here I am in California, but my LinkedIn page says all my California stuff. It probably wasn't until June or July when a recruiter said, "You really should say that you're looking for work in New York." And I was like, wow. So all the entire year, we're talking 2 months after my last day before I changed that I was looking for work in New York. So the reality of waking up on, let's just say, let's not even count May 6th, but May 7th was that I needed to start looking for a job more because I was in shock that I hadn't gotten anything. So I
mm,
had this feeling like it's fashion. It's New York. It's the fashion capital. Of course, I'm going to find a job. I literally started looking in January. So, what LinkedIn does is it in your own account, you can look and see all the jobs you applied for. And this isn't counting the people that were like, because Lamar and I used to live in New York in 2013, 2014. So this isn't like, you know, these people are like, oh, Pamela's back, da 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 da. Yeah, here, there's a job, there's a job. It was not happening. I was not hearing from people. People were like, okay, noted that you're back. I'll let you know if I hear anything. So probably 30, 60, 90 days, May, June, July, August. Yeah, we had some trips already planned, so we did those. But it was really a shock that the titles were watered down, the job
mm,
descriptions were loaded, and the salary was nothing. And I'm like, is this what I'm going to have to do? Granted, I was a director. And like you said earlier, we don't see a lot of us up top anyway. So for me to be one of a senior leader, not a C-suite, but a senior leader, it's like, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to take 4 levels down. And it was so, so scary. It really, really was. It just mind blowing. Never did I think I would be in this place.
So were you
Never.
automatically comfortable with taking 4 levels down? I know that
Mm-mm.
that's not something I would have been super comfortable with. I know from my own personal experience, I feel like I was already behind. When I went to my last company, I took a couple of levels down when I should have been a director already. So you
Yes.
already kind of had that mindset that you were going to have to go down some.
Yeah. And I did some freelance in July, and it was like high school, clicky. It was a lingerie company. And I was like, whew, but I was there for support. And again, thank God I was paired with a person of color. So I'm helping her. And it was like, okay, cool, got this, got this. And then one particular day, I had made a statement about the one of the other teams, and it hurt her feelings. She cried, and they let me go the next day. Now that one bothered me more than the company I was with for 8 years. And
Why?
I was like, what? Are you kidding? I didn't say her name. I go, actually, I don't even know her name. I said her team. I didn't put her name. I said the title of her team. Wow. Okay. Well, anyway, the lady that I'm assisting, you all need to get her help because she's really good. And it would be really bad for you all if she had to leave or she found something else. Oh, and I have also some other ideas about a better way of doing a couple of processes. So I'm literally spitting this out left and right. And she's like, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. So then she gets emotional. I was like, no, it's fine. But my ideas would definitely help the next person. So she was in utter shock. So I leave. And then that was July. And then August, I was doing another, and I was at that company maybe 9 days. 9 days. And they definitely needed help for the category this lady was over. So then in August, I got another job doing freelance, and it was a children's company. The lady that I was replacing was French, cursed like a sailor. The boss that, because I would be taking her role, they would literally be cursing back and forth at each other. And I'm like, oh, I'm not beyond cursing. Don't get me wrong. But I'm like, aren't we at work? So the lady's gone. She's like, don't do it. Don't do it. She's going to drive you nuts. You'll probably trust me, trust me. And I was like, stop, stop, bye. And so week two that this lady's gone, the lady that I'm reporting to and the VP of the company are yelling at each other from office to office, office to office. So I tell my husband, I was like, I can't do this. Now, this is the 4 levels down that we talked about,
Mm.
that you just mentioned. And I was like, I can be supportive because I was supportive at the lingerie company. Totally. It's a check. I need to eat. I want my lifestyle from San Francisco back. I want to shop. I got to look at price tags, but I want to shop.
I
I
know
want to
that's
do what
right.
I want to do. I want to travel when I want to travel. So the third week, I was like, I'm giving my notice. Oh, no, no, no. Wait, wait, wait. Take some time. Think about it. I know it can be very stressful, but you can do a good job. I was like, oh, it's not about me being concerned that I can do a good job. It's you. This is too stressful. It doesn't have to be. It's children's clothes. It should be a happier place. I mean, you're not curing cancer. How do I know? I'm a 20-year survivor and it's not cured yet.
Mm.
And she's like, and she was a woman of color, not black, but she was a woman of color. And she was like, okay. So the next 5 days, people were hearing and they were like, oh my God, but you're so cool. You could feel the anger coming off of her because she was so mad. They wanted everybody to be like, oh my God, she's leaving. Everybody was like, bye, let's stay in touch. So it was then that I knew the right thing was going to come along for me when it was supposed to. And it was September that I started doing some contract work for someone in the Middle East. So it's been interesting. And I might have some good news tomorrow.
Ooh. Okay, we'll do a follow-up when your episode launches about that. The story that you shared resonated with me about people yelling across the room and you saying, this is not going to work for me. When
The
I worked
peace.
for, I worked for a company when I was in Atlanta,
Okay.
and my first day is always orientation, so you're not even with your team.
Mm-hmm.
Second day, you're in your we I get to the office, it's our team meeting, and literally my boss, the people who were on my team, my counterparts, the meeting was just all yelling back and forth yelling, lots of blaming, lots of
Oh
you
my
did that,
gosh.
finger pointing. And because I have been unemployed for so long, um i, I think the I was unemployed for maybe 7 months. I had never been unemployed that long, and I had took this job. And I went home and I told my mentor. I said, Catherine, she listens to the podcast. I said, "Oh, this ain't right," and she was like, "You should leave." And in my opinion, my eyes, and I was like, "Ooh, I can't. No, I can't leave. Like, I need to be here." And to hear that you were like, nah, 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 I'm out. Like, this ain't gonna work. I stayed with
Yeah.
that company for another 2 years in that toxic environment. And I think about like how many like times I should have left, how toxic it was to my body, how my
Oh,
health declined, the impact of all the things. And I stayed anyway. And you immediately made the decision like, this not gonna work.
well, it wasn't immediately, but I was thought you were gonna say you just couldn't take those meetings anymore. So that was the culture. That's what's crazy.
Yes.
And with Black women, we're at these jobs doing our best, showing up, looking good, smelling good, not letting them touch our hair because it's different. And we still get the moments like, no, still get labeled, oh, well, she had an attitude. Oh, she wasn't
Mm-hmm.
acting like a team player. But here, these crazy people are doing this on the daily and other people know it. And then when I did go to HR, they were like, well, yeah, because I did. Well, yeah, there's really nothing we can do. Your contract,
Mm.
so, and it's just a stressful department. That's all, and that doesn't happen. We haven't had any reports. Da da da. Well, I ended up getting close to one of the ladies, and she said that that lady had been reported on before with HR,
I just
and nothing was done.
It's the audacity for me. And
Yes,
what also
yeah,
pisses me off in situations like that, even with my own situation, is that there were other Black people who had allowed that environment to thrive. Because my first inclination was to run to HR. Like, why are these people yelling at each other and pointing fingers like this is not normal? And when I talked to the Black people on the team they were like, oh, no, 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 this is just how she is. And you guys have
right.
accepted
Same,
it.
same.
And I'm
Yeah,
like, we could never, because of course she
ever.
wasn't Black. We
Of
could
course.
never
Ever,
operate
ever.
like that. Even when you were referring to cursing, I'm like, of course
Yeah.
I'm not gonna curse because it will be one person that go and say, "Oh no,
Yeah.
Kamika cursed me out," and knowing I would not do that in a corporate
Exactly.
setting.
Exactly.
But
Right.
oh, she used a curse word here and there, and I curse like a
Mhm.
sailor outside. But you know what I'm saying? I would never
Yeah.
put myself in a position like that, and I think that's what's so
Yeah.
frustrating with what's happening and hearing stories like yours and other stories is like we played by the rules, we did the right things, we still weren't rewarded accordingly.
Right.
And you talk about like surviving cancer and being a 20-year breast cancer survivor. How has your survival from cancer dictated the way you operate in corporate?
I remember when I got diagnosed, I was in Atlanta. My parents and family were in Dallas. And I called them and I was like, okay, so, got to find a surgeon. And my doctor in Atlanta recommended one, went to go see him. And I remember sitting on the table and I had my girlfriend with me every single step of the way. And I remember hearing him talk, oh yeah, breast cancer, you need to have surgery and we'll da 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 and we'll remove this. And my secretary out front, da 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 da. And I remember looking at his pants and his shoes, thinking in my head, wow, he's dressed really nice. And it was raining. There was a tiny window in the office, and I was like, wow, the rain's really coming down. All this is in my head. She's taking notes like crazy. And I snap out of it. He stops talking. I get off the table. We leave. I pass right by that woman. And she's like, excuse me. Mary's like, ah, we get in the car and it's pouring rain. I was like, no, I'm not feeling that at all. Went back to the family. We got to pray. So everybody, doing their little prayer warrior thing. And my mom's pastor's wife's twin knew of a surgeon in Atlanta. This lady's name was Roxburgh Zebedee Phillips. I was like, with a name like that, she has to be good. So, in keeping that in mind, when I finally had my surgery, that was May, my surgery was June 29th. I remember signing a paper in the event I don't wake up or come out of anesthesia, they are not liable. And I'm paraphrasing, of course.
Of course.
So I'm signing this. So I'm like, I could have been on the other side of this. I could have not made it. There were four other women that I was very close to that are no longer here today. And we all got diagnosed around the same time. I gotta believe that I'm supposed to be here. I have to believe that the endurance, that the throwing up, that the hair loss, and I have my vain moments. At the age of 11, I was modeling. College, my minor degree is modeling. I taught at Barbizon Modeling School. So it's like for that to happen, to lose my hair, they were like, oh, everybody's different. We're not sure of the side effects, blah, blah, blah. And for that to happen, knocked me off my butt. But it was like when these jobs come and go and these crazy people come and go, I have to believe there's a higher calling and that there is a reason that I'm still here. So every single day, and it's like I had somebody, and I sell t-shirts or something for breast cancer each year, and somebody was like, well, can I wear the t-shirt, even though it's not breast cancer month? I was like, Cancer didn't wait till October. Yes, you can wear the t-shirt. Yes, you can make a donation when it's not breast cancer month because it's breast cancer day every day for me. So there you go.
I know that's right. So, we always talk about finances on the show.
Whew,
Um,
whew.
did you receive a severance? And I know
I
it's been a
did
little bit of a minute. How many weeks or months did you receive?
16.
Okay, so about 4 months. And
Mm-hmm.
because you're married, which is now my new question to ask all my married guests, how has the financial conversations between you and your husband changed since being laid off and then prior to being laid off? How what's the change?
Now I'm gonna cry more than I did talking about cancer. Um, it's been hard. It's really hard. It's already a hard conversation when both people got a job. It really is. It's one of them. It's in the top three or top five reasons why people
Yep.
split. It was really, really hard because I always had my own stash. That's what mama taught me. I'm from Dallas, Texas, and I had to, go through my stash because it's like, I'm not telling you all the stuff that I buy me, all the things that I need to buy me, or the prescription went up because because of breast cancer, I have a lot of medical issues. And it was really, really hard. And he's always been the person to find the app. This is the budget app we're going to go with. Let's get all the data in the app. So we had our budget talks, and probably for 3 good months, I was like, I don't have anything to bring to the table because I didn't want to touch the severance. I did not want to touch it. I wanted to still act like I was getting a check every 2 weeks. I was, gonna have it there. But then when we got to New York, it's like, it's so expensive here. So we chose the hardest thing was going from a 2,700 square foot home to a studio that was
Oh.
400 square feet.
Oh.
So yeah, we have to do that. And we did that because we knew we were coming from California to New York with one salary. We were not thinking to touch my money that I was getting from the company. So it was really a challenge, but thank God, thank God, thank God, he was able to keep his California salary
Mm.
once we got to New York. So it, has totally worked out. We definitely had to really look at every single thing. And it is hard to sit and look at your budget from CVS to Whole Foods to where you're shopping, where all the things, and we just take so much for granted. Like, okay, there's always going to be 8 rolls of toilet tissue. There's always going to be 4 rolls of Kleenex. There's always going to be 2 bottle of red wines and 2 bottle of white wines. Yeah, but not anymore. Not anymore. We had to like really, really, really cut some things back and kind of let some things just kind of get low before we replenished. So yeah, thank God we're on the other side of that now. But yeah, it was really, really hard. So we have to take a look at our budgets. We have to know what we're spending, what's coming in and what's coming out. But
I think the biggest shock for me hearing you say you went from 2,700 square feet to 400.
studio, no bedroom. The only room that had a door was the bathroom.
Oh, could
And
not be
we
me.
yeah. And I had a beautiful garden. He
Ah,
built he built me, the beds, everything. I had fruit. We had lemon trees. Yeah, front yard, backyard. I had a studio for my sewing machine and, all of
yes.
that. I had to get rid of all of that.
Wow.
Yeah,
So
but I did keep the machine that my mother made my baby clothes on. I still have that. So,
I love it. So, I know you said earlier you were waiting on some good news. So, are we leaning into the business? Because, and I would love for you to share the business that you have, or are you actively trying to get back to corporate?
both. The business is Reply. our in Plymouth State, and our previous business was Ply Apparel, PLY, Pamela, Lamar, and you. I'm reopening the brand and I'm calling it Reply. So basically, asked and answered. Women still need clothes. Curvy women need better options. Plus size women need apparel. So I am going to do it. I am still looking in corporate, but I am working with a friend who is overseas. So got some contract stuff going on, but I think and it's interesting that it I guess it is corporate, but they're a boutique
Mm,
in New York. So it's a small company where I would be probably going crazy wearing a lot of hats, but it feels for the first time, it feels exciting and good. I don't feel like this is a role that they've posted and I need to reply to a job.
mm,
So I feel like the treatment, the environment will be better. Fashion's always going to be crazy and hectic, but the guy that I've been interviewing with, who would be my boss, it feels different and not just another head count, which is what most of these companies have made me feel like, just a head count, not just, oh, she's a team player, da da da, and me being the first one to not get help or assistance when they had connections to put my name in the hat for another role in another brand. So,
yeah, because when we know better, we do better. So we kind of have to shift expectations after our
yes,
experiences.
ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So as we wrap this interview up, what is your ask from the community? How would you like for us to save you, support, amplify, validate, elevate? How do you want this community to save you?
Keep the prayers coming and let's just try to your mantra, Black women will. Can I get a t-shirt? I
It's
mean, it's like
coming.
awesome, awesome. And let me know because I can dress you too.
Listen, I
I
was
mean, and
gonna
that's
ask this because I am not a fashionista. Okay, I am not a fashionista. Please dress me. Whoever wants to
you
dress
didn't
me.
plan to put on the yellow blouse to match perfectly to the yellow wall, really?
No, I didn't. So Pamela and the audience knows I take this in batches. So I'm just trying not to repeat the same stuff over and over again. And because when
Oh,
you do the edit, you only see my top. And because I've
oh.
gained 30 pounds since I lost my good paying job,
Ah,
stuff
well, you
does
look
not
great.
fit. So no, no plan. No plan, girl.
Gotcha,
Just trying to remember
gotcha,
what I wore so I'm not repeating the outfits as I'm doing
gotcha.
these interviews. But I am open to being dressed. Okay,
Awesome.
please. Okay.
Gotcha, gotcha. But I love that. I love that. When I think about what can the community do for me, let's just remember your slogan. Let's remember what you're doing. Black women will. But I can tell you, this came to me in the middle of the night. How the Lord speaks to us. Save. Sisters are valid and equipped.
Okay. Come on and flip the acronym.
Maybe and you got a big following, maybe a survey just to see what are the words people can bring to you, and then you just take it and see what moves your heart. But it's just something about, especially when you think about so many Black women that were killed, murdered, and then with you having this slogan, it just says so, so, so much. It's so many things behind Black women will save. So, yeah.
I love
And
it.
I applaud you for doing this. Congratulations. This is awesome.
Thank you so much. Where can the people find you?
Pamela at reply.fashion, and that's Pamela at reply.fashion. And Instagram's just fine.
Okay.
And I
Awesome.
do reply. Get it? Reply.
I love
Okay.
it. Okay. Please reply. Everyone, I did a rant about this a couple of episodes ago. Just even if the answer is no, can you just reply back to people? Y'all say
Yeah.
no. So
Yeah.
thank you, Pamela. You've been a wonderful guest. Thank you for giving us your time, sharing your stories. I am
Thank
sure that
you.
a lot of people are going to be touched by them. So thank you so
Ah,
much.
thank you.
All right, so let's wrap up the
Yay.
show with this week's save strategy. It's so interesting that Pamela was like, hey, let's think about some other words for the word save. I'm actually flipping the A this week from amplify to accountability. Only way we can save each other and ourselves is by holding ourselves accountable. Because one of the most powerful ways we can save each other is refusing to allow silence to cover our mistakes. So I talk a lot about, or I talked about earlier, the whole Mount Everest simulation and stuff. And part of that exercise is you got to communicate. If something goes wrong, you have to tell people immediately. And it does not serve you to hide your mistakes. So I've never wanted to be surrounded by yes people. Yes people don't save you. Yes people will let you walk blind into the same wall twice. Yes people clap for the performance but don't care about the person. What saves me are the friends who call me out. The ones that say, Kamika, that move was not it, sis. The ones who hold up the mirror when I'm tempted to look away. The ones who remind me that accountability isn't punishment, it's protection. Because acknowledgement keeps me aware. Ooh, something fell. Uh, it keeps me honest. It makes sure I don't repeat the same mistake twice. And here's the truth: accountability is love. It's saying I care enough about you to risk the discomfort of telling you the truth. It's saying I want to see you win, so I won't let you sabotage yourself. It's saying I believe in your growth more than I believe in keeping things easy. So when Black women amplify each other to accountability, we save each other from cycles of self sabotage, burnout, and invisibility. We save each other by refusing to let the story end at failure. We save each other by turning mistakes into lessons and lessons into fuel. So this week's save strategy: don't just clap for your friends, don't just clap for your sisters, call them higher. Amplify their brilliance. Yes, we want the amplification, but also amplify their blind spots. Because accountability is the rope that keeps us tied together on that climb up Mount Everest. And Black women should often want to see each other win and never refuse to let each other fail. So that is this week's save strategy. Like, subscribe, follow Black Women Will Say Black Women wherever you get your podcast. We're on Instagram, we're on YouTube, we're on TikTok. Follow me, Kamika T. Dillard on Instagram, Miss KT Dillard on TikTok. As always, support, amplify, validate, elevate. That's how we save each other. And never forget, Black women will save Black women. I'm your host, Kamika Dillard. Thanks for tuning in this week.